All right, Mr. Chair, we are live.
I'd like to call to order the City of Lake Worth Beach Historic Resource Preservation Board, November 8th, 2023. Roll call, please.
Elaine DeRisso, Laura Devlin here, Robert Dorenzo
Here.
Jamie Foreman, Nadine Heights here, Ed DeVoe
Here.
and Ed LeBlanc.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Okay, we can pledge allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
He did sing ABC.
Did
Did you hear us sing?
I didn't hear this.
You all started singing.
Sing the word.
All right, if we're going in order, it says board member elections, elect of chair and vice chair.
That is correct. So we don't have, a very formal process, but we do need to elect a chair and vice chair. We will have our regular annual elections in January, but since we have a new board and we've lost our previous chair, we needed to formalize it.
So what's the process?
I believe you make a nomination and a second
Can I
nomination.
make a nomination?
Sure.
I'm not nominating myself. I'm nominating this gentleman right here, vice chair.
And vice chair, I'm gonna throw it back at you.
Oh.
How's that? All right, then, we're good till January, so.
You vote.
Oh, all those in favor?
Aye.
All right, so we're good.
All right.
We got it unanimous. Additions, deletions, reordering, and approvals of the agenda.
There are no additions, deletions, or reordering.
Okay, could I get a motion to approve the minutes from the October 11th meeting?
I make a motion to approve the minutes for the October 11th, 2023 meeting of the Historic Resources Preservation Board.
Need a second?
Okay.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, that's another unanimous. Swearing in of staff and applicants.
You plan to give testimony this evening, please stand and raise your hands. Are you giving testimony? So, okay. Do you swear and affirm the testimony you give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? If so, say yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Proof of publication, that was in our package. Okay,
There were no public.
correct. Withdrawals and postponements,
None.
any board disclosures?
Yes. This is an excerpt of an email sent to Sherry Cole this past Monday, November 6th, and was subsequently forwarded to City Attorney Elizabeth Lenahan. Several months ago, long before I was on the HRPB board, I attended a city commission meeting in favor of the Gulf Stream. I wasn't especially active or vocal, but did hold up a generic pre-printed sign in support, as many others did. I am friends on Facebook with Amy Gill, as I imagine hundreds of people are. As a result of one of us liking the other's post at one point, I'm not sure it was even related to the Gulf Stream. But the bottom line is I can be impartial and look at the case fairly. I have stated I do not believe this poses an ethical conflict of interest regarding any votes or ruling that I might participate in. I have not had any direct involvement with the project or the applicants other than what has been stated. And for the first time, this is the first time I've viewed or had knowledge of what is being presented tonight by the applicants. In addition, I have no financial or other interest in the Gulf Stream as well. Attorney Lenahan has agreed that she does not see any ethical conflict of interest, but requested I disclose this during tonight's meeting. Thank you.
All right, very nice, thank you. Anyone else? So we're good. No unfinished business, so we will go on to do business. 41, so it's historic project number 2300100241. Consideration of a certificate of appropriate.
Awesome. So yeah, this is looking at window and door replacements at 213 Fordham Drive. This property is currently designated as a non-contributing resource in the College Park Historic District, but has been recommended in the updated 2020 survey to become contributing. So here we've got our location map, like normal. We're here on Fordham Drive, just a little bit west of North Federal Highway. And so just a little bit of background. Let me scooch this off of the top here. So we got the COA and permit application for these window and door replacements back in August. Staff gave comments a little over 2 weeks later. We have had some email correspondence with the applicants, providing additional, appropriate door options, compromising on number 3, and giving some information on how we could kind of easily bring number 4 into compliance. We also talked to the applicants in person in October, and then we are coming here tonight. Let's see if it'll let me move forward. There we go. All right, so we've got the house here was built in 1965 in the masonry vernacular architectural style. It retains a lot of its original design, concrete tile roof, stucco wall finish with some brick veneer accents, awning windows originally, jalousie and flush doors, and then some, decorative details. We've got some classically inspired columns and some wide segmental arches there at the entrance and attached carport. They have had very few alterations over time. The posts have had to be replaced due to some rot back in the day, but they were replaced with, similar classically inspired columns. So here we've got our current photos of it. You can see, much of the design has stayed the same. And like I mentioned at the beginning, so the updated 2020 Historic Resources Survey did recommend redesignation as a contributing resource. One of the reasons this was originally designated as non-contributing is because in the late 90s, when it was first surveyed, a circa 1965 house wouldn't have met that 50-year threshold, and it now does. And because it retains so much of its integrity as a masonry vernacular example, they recommended that it should be considered a contributing resource. So because this is still currently non-contributing, staff are only examining openings that are visible from the public right-of-way, which is why we're talking about the front door, those 2 doors at the end of the carport, and then 1 side window over here. So kind of starting with that window, the original and what appears to still be the existing was a 2-light awning window. What was proposed was a single light awning. Staff recommended that the applicants just add a single exterior applied muntin to the proposed window. They wouldn't have to change the design or anything. A muntin really just gets stuck on to keep that original proportion there. Opening number 3, this was the one that staff had previously compromised with the applicant on. Originally, it was just like a plain flush door from what we can tell. It's just a storage room door. And because this one didn't involve any sort of decorative glazing that the other ones did, we felt comfortable, allowing just a 2-panel door. Really, the big question for tonight is the door design for both openings number 1 and number 2. So originally 1 and 2, number 1 from our plans is a simple flush door, which is still what we've got, just with applied decorative trim there. The original for door number 2 was a jalousie door. What the applicants are proposing is 2 different door designs that both use decorative textured and leaded glass designs, which are not allowed anywhere in our historic districts. So staff had no authority to approve those. These are some of the examples that we sent to the applicant of appropriate door designs for a masonry vernacular structure that staff could easily approve. The first 5, moving from left to right, are all from various manufacturers who we see all the time. These are all impact doors readily available. The one on the far right is a screenshot from our design guidelines. The applicants did not indicate that they would be willing to use any of these designs, which is why we're here tonight. So talking about leaded and textured glass, our design guidelines describe that, the original glazing of windows and doors generally in Lake Worth Beach was clear glass, not decorative, not textured, not stained glass or anything like that. Typically, any decorative patterning on our windows and doors in the city was done through muntins. So masonry vernacular homes like this one wouldn't have originally used a leaded glass design. Homes like all of these, a Tudor Revival, a French Eclectic, a really high style Prairie may have occasionally used a leaded glass design, but these are, very visually different styles from what we're seeing at 213 Fordham. And generally these aren't very present in Lake Worth Beach as a whole. Those sorts of leaded glass designs then kind of had a resurgence in, the 80s, 90s, 2000s, but weren't really what historically would have been used. These sorts of masonry vernacular homes would have had simpler doors. So basically our conclusion, staff can't approve number 1 and 2, and it's not compatible with the design guidelines. There are examples. I know the applicant has mentioned before that, other homes in the area have similar doors. From what I can tell, every example of a home that has a similar, decorative glass door was either replaced without permits and COAs or was done prior to historic review as a whole and or the design guidelines, early 2000s era. Those that are there now, when they are replaced in the future, will not be able to be replaced in kind, and those that were done without permits realistically may have a code case opened against them for doing work without permits. So we recommend that number 1 and 2 use one of the many design options that we've provided previously that, staff approves all the time for these types of homes. Opening number 4, really easy, just needs a horizontal muntin added, and opening number 3 could be administratively approved by staff. So we are recommending denial of the application as proposed, really because of the issues with number 1 and 2. The applicant is here tonight and does have a presentation as well.
You state your name and address, please.
My name is Amanda Khan. I live at 213 Fordham Drive. This is Olive. She's with us tonight because my husband, who is the better presenter of the two of us, is home very, very, very sick. So yeah, trust me, I'm sorry he's not here either. Definitely, he has the charisma of the two of us. Anyway, so Amanda, this is Olive. She's 11 months old tomorrow. We've been living in College Park for about 4 years now. My husband, Colin, he works for the Jewish Federation of Palm Beach County, doing this fundraising and, community outreach and everything like that. And I was laid off 3 months ago. So I am doing the mom thing at the moment and looking for something else. Olive was born, as I said, in December of 2020. And Colin served on the College Park Neighborhood Board up until this one was born, and then realized that, time would be better spent with her. We're also very civically involved. We go to all of the activities and active voters, and really we love living in Lake Worth. We love living in College Park, and we're excited to raise Olive in College Park. So getting to the crux of the matter, this is our home, as Annie shared with everybody. It is not contributing to the historic district, and yes, we are aware that it was recommended to be contributed. I don't know that we would agree to have it as a contributing property, but we definitely understand that, there was a recommendation that wasn't taken advantage of. And currently our home does have limited hurricane protection with old doors and windows. We pay a good amount of property taxes. Those have gone up 81% since the last owner owned the house. And one of the main reasons we really need to harden our home is because I'm sure we all have experienced that homeowners insurance right now is absolutely through the roof. It's gone up literally 100% in 4 years. We bought the house, we got excited, we got a deal that was $4,000 for insurance, and every single year our renewal goes up at least $1,000. And so we have another renewal coming up, and I'm sure we're going to be in the $9,000–10,000 range for insurance. So anything we can do to harden our home, we're going to do to try to lower our insurance. So some of the challenges we're facing is, as I mentioned, we're having increased risk of hurricane damage due to our old doors and windows. And we plywood the house up. We've got some old clamshell shutters that aren't, hurricane grade, but we do what we can when there's a storm coming. And we did find a challenge was that there were some limited designs when it comes to, you know, the glass hurricane doors that we would like to have in our home. The first response we received, there were the 4 designs. It was the 5 light, the jalousie, the 3 squares. I don't know what that design was
Right.
called. Like the 3
Mid-century doors.
pretty much. And none of those, when we spoke with our hurricane impact window company, there wasn't anything available in those designs that were hurricane safe. But then we eventually did, I think a month later, and you had said that there was some correspondence where we did see those 3 other styles. They're fine.
Okay.
But we had our heart set on the 2 doors that we had chosen. Thought they were tasteful. We thought that they, you know, went with the home's design, the neighborhood with that aesthetic, because, you know, there are tons of these glazed doors in the neighborhood. The lighted glass doors, sorry, in the neighborhood. So it felt like there was some inconsistency in the guidelines, because we were kind of shocked to hear that our permit was denied, just because, you know, we walk around the neighborhood every day and we see tons of these doors. So it never crossed my mind that like these weren't allowed.
They were put on a Sunday morning. They were put on prior to the historic designation.
Right.
So guidelines are guidelines.
Right, so, and I was saying, you know, you can't really walk past 5 or 6 houses without seeing, you know,
Right.
a leaded glass door. So, and also the 4 designs that are part of the 263 page document, you know, you really don't see any of those designs in your neighborhood. I know I've seen the 3 panel and I've seen the three glass squares, but mostly we have 6 panel, you know,
Yeah.
and you don't really see what's in the design guidelines in the neighborhood. So again, it just seemed a little inconsistent.
Right.
That most of the homes in the historic district aren't following.
I've seen a few of the redos, the flips,
Mhm.
that they did follow the guidelines.
Right.
I know Michael in the office has I love his front door. I think it's even 5 light,
Mhm.
but they're there, and
Right.
the companies do have them.
Yes. That one, yes, and for the other 3 in particular, you know, you really don't find in.
So as far as her other, okay with doors, so as far as the other, the mutton,
Oh, that's
and all
fine.
that, you
Oh,
guys are
that's
good with
like,
everything?
oh, that's it, yeah, that's a no-brainer, we'll go to mine,
All right.
that's not a problem. You know, there's tons of like, our next door neighbor's home is contributing, it's dilapidated, you know, there's just like, there's a ton of issues that it feels a little like, these are yours.
Yeah,
Like,
we
there's
understand,
so
but
much,
it is,
yeah.
it is like the eyeballs or it is a feature of your home.
It is a feature of the
And
home.
as we go
Mhm.
through the years and as we're doing it more and more, we're gonna see a lot more consistency in the historic district.
So that actually brings me to my next slide, I believe, is the view of our house from the street.
Right.
So you don't really see either door. The front door, they're not actually the focal point of the house. The front door is western facing. So this is a direct shot the other day in front of our house. You know, the carport door is usually blocked by a car. So, you know,
So the front door isn't facing what we're looking at, the front door is this way,
the front door is facing our next door neighbors.
facing your neighbor. Okay.
Yep. Mhm. And it's not, you know, they're not highly visible to us. Yeah. That's the part of that slide. So the question is the change visually compatible with neighboring properties? And we believe so, and I took some photos of examples, and as we've mentioned, these were done on the Sunday morning. But
Right.
again, it just goes to show that the doors that we chose don't stand out as being, you know, obtrusive or offensive. They do match what else is happening in the neighborhood. And I think the doors that we chose also are closest to resembling what are accepted in designs, but, yeah. So our goal is to complete this project before the end of the year and to not have to cancel it due to the financial burden of buying new doors, which is a very real possibility. And we just hope that you'll consider all of this
Okay.
in your vote.
So, public comment. Are you, thank you.
Thank you all for your time, thank you, Annie.
Public comment? Anyone? Okay. So at this point, we need a motion.
I want to make a motion. First of all, my motion is based on,
Down here. The middle button, yeah, green light, please.
you know what?
Is it on? All right,
This is a non-competitive stuff. And, Lakewood is stuck in a lot of these things. And, anyhow. I want to make a motion to approve. More conditions. And,
Go ahead.
go ahead.
No, I wouldn't necessarily agree with that. And not that I'm trying to be difficult or anything, but we get this a lot. And I know it's frustrating as a homeowner, you see other doors that didn't go by the rules. But, and I know that if Jamie were here as another attorney, he would say the same thing. You know, we are here now and we are, as a board, are tasked with adhering to the guidelines. And if we want to stray from the guidelines, we have to have reasons why. And so far, the only reason is, I mean, you did mention that you had your heart set on the other one, you would be kind of okay with the others. But other than a financial hardship, and other than the fact that you like this store, prefer it, I don't really see that this justifies it. You know, there is a process for the financial hardship. I know there's an application required for that, right? Or a huge, you know, process. But I mean, you know, the thing is, if we allow this for you, we allow this then for the next person and the next person, like we as a board, in my opinion, have to adhere to the guidelines.
But shouldn't we give some kind of condition, I mean, some kind of. Yeah. You know, it's not considered a factor right now, they had potential.
So how does that work? I mean, does the homeowner have to accept that it become a contributing resource? Or, I mean, the fact that it has been noted that it could become one, like, how does that work?
Yeah, so under current Florida law, my understanding it was somewhat recently updated. Homeowners would now have to opt in to become contributing. Previously, it was not that same way, but if they were to now, they would have to opt in. Because they're non-contributing, the only openings we're talking about tonight are the ones we have review power over. So we don't review at all their back or anything. That doesn't get, you know, we don't look at it at all. These are the ones that we have review power over.
It was contributing, I would look at all
If
of
it
them.
was contributing, we would look at all of them.
yeah, just the front, sides and back are dealt with through the building department.
And we just were agreeing to a bunch on the side.
Yeah.
For non-contributing, so we are, you know, we're willing to compromise and, you know, it's just financially, we can't go back and buy the doors, like, we either get these or we have no project and that's pretty much.
If it was considered a factor, no, I mean, it was not considered a factor. So she had some kind of understanding. And therefore, you know, I think we should approve what she's trying to do. And we create, now we would get different, create a.
Yeah, but this is still before us to decide, and there is criteria that we
Right.
need to use and judge, right? So the
Yeah, yeah.
criteria, like, I don't know if, someone can remind us of what that criteria is. I know that, you know, you know, you have to have points for all of the criteria, right?
That's right. So your staff analysis has the guidelines for the certificate of appropriation. And if you want to approve this, because your staff report has been written for denial, so it has the competent substantial evidence to support the denial. If you want to approve it, you need to put competent substantial evidence on the record for each of these criteria to show that it should be approved.
For each of these criteria, and each of these criteria are the ones that are the A, B, C, D, those ones, or
Correct.
which ones are you
Yes.
referring to? Right, okay. So there's like all the way from A to G, right?
But isn't there different criteria for non-contributing?
Yeah, so there's the general criteria that apply to all, and then there's the supplemental criteria for non-contributing. And those are all in the staff reports.
So the staff report is written based on this being non-contributing, correct? Okay, so it doesn't matter whether it's not like, I mean, we have to adhere to what is here. We know it's non-contributing now, so, I mean, you know, each one of these here has a staff analysis, right? So,
Really, the difference is that for the non-contributing, it changes the focus to just the front facade.
just the front.
And whereas for a contributing structure, you'd have that same analysis for every.
Oh, okay.
every door
So
in the
that's
house.
the difference. So the only difference between contributing and non-contributing is that for non-contributing, we only have to judge the front, which is what we're doing. But if it were contributing, we'd be judging all of the doors. So
And your door is weird.
it doesn't mean we give you
It's
leniency
front,
for
but
being
like
non-contributing,
Not front facing, it's on the front of the house, but it faces the side.
but it's still a door in the front. I mean, when you walk
Yes.
by an angle, you can still see it. I know it's kind of silly, but we can't, you know, I mean, this is our job, right? This is what we're tasked to do.
I had a question, right? I didn't understand the part about the financial hardship.
So I got laid off a few months ago while we were mid-contract on this. And yes, we got the doors and you're probably like, well, that was stupid. Why would you buy the doors? Well, because there's so many other doors in the neighborhood that look like ours that we never imagined.
But you've lived here for several years and you realize you're in a historic district where you do have to go through a permit and process.
Yeah, so we assumed that everybody did, not just us.
Yeah, unfortunately, yeah, I understand.
So it kind of like, you know, it's unfortunate for those of us who do follow the rules and do like to, you know, make our neighborhood a better place. To then just like kind of get denied and now be in a position where we probably can't harden our home or make it safer for our daughter.
So how much did those doors cost you?
Brian, do you know how much those doors were?
Those two doors. Because they're factory, very custom.
This is Brian. He's
I
been
think
so
he needs to
lovely
be
working with
Sworn
us.
in or?
Okay.
Got it, yeah, yeah.
You're right. You swear and affirm the testimony you give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, if so, say yes.
Yeah.
And state your name and your address, please.
Brian Coleman, 1096 Road Park Circle, 40.
Thank you, sir.
So when I went out on site, we go through this with HOAs, we go, done working for.
Are you the contractor?
I'm sorry.
Are you the contractor? What's your
Well,
relationship?
I work for the company. I'm not the owner. Contractor is the licensed person, qualified. So I represent this homeowner. And when I went there, we also in the neighborhood. We talked about, you know, there were gonna be any issues here. There's no way you could ever tell that there was any government on front doors in that neighborhood. There's so many varieties. We have an oval door, you know.
We all live here.
Yeah, that's probably not even an impact door. You know, because most of the impactors don't make the ovals in category 5. So we're always working with the highest level of impact doors. And we didn't see a particular problem. So we also were a part of the grant program for the state of Florida and are approved for that. So they have a time frame in which to get the work done. So we pushed forward, assuming that it wasn't going to be an issue, and when we got to the permitting process, that kind of all came up. But
So when, sorry, may I ask, when were the doors purchased and how much were they? And when were they?
well, the
purchased?
doors by themselves, because it's a full project, I would estimate the cost of the two doors at $7,000.
For both doors together?
Yeah.
7,000, okay, and what is this grant program that you mentioned?
My safe Florida home,
program. Okay,
So did they get any kind of rebate on those or
They will, only if the job is complete,
until, by when,
final inspection,
by when,
so they have to get it done by April 1st.
of this year?
Next, yeah.
Oh, 2024.
But these doors are made one at a time, you don't go to the store and buy it.
So these are special order doors? Okay, so when you,
No matter
so,
what we do, it's special order.
so have you ever worked in the Lake Worth Historic District before?
Yes.
Okay, so you're familiar that at least you do have to come before the board if you do something over and above that's not
We didn't think
allowed.
we were doing something over and above based
Well-
on all the examples. There's not one example, there's not two examples. It's almost every home
Right.
within any range of that particular location.
And when were they purchased? Sorry, those were purchased when and paid for already?
You know, we could have 3 months.
It was right before I got laid off. It was really good timing. You have a baby.
So like around
You
4
signed
months
my
ago.
contract to go
Okay.
to work.
4 months ago, okay. So is there any opportunity to refund these or get any kind of credit for them? Not at all. So you'd have to sell them to somebody that would have.
They're
Impact
customized to
stores don't work that way. Impact
Mhm.
stores are made for individual homes, okay? What they sell to Home Depot on the floor, it's not a category 5 impact store. If you want to get a category 5, you have to go through their home services and they're using a whole different line of products. So these are rated for 175-mile-an-hour wind protection. So when it says impact, it doesn't mean it's rated for what we would use here in southeastern Florida, because there are other parts of the state that they're not required, that you can use a much lesser product than what we ordered for them. So we order everything, it's at the opening, custom, it is custom painted for her home in advance, so that it would have a professional finish.
And all of this was done before the permit was approved, obviously, to have the painting and everything. I mean, did it ever dawn on anyone to get this check or to have a meeting with someone in
really
department?
Gone on us again
Okay.
because of
Yeah, but when permits are pulled, the certificate of appropriate is also attached to. Which should tell you in the historic district right there, that should.
like the order was already done, so we go for the permit while products are being made.
So you're buying the product before you even submit the permit,
Correct.
which is a lesson learned in Lake Worth Beach. If you're in a historic district, you don't do that.
Well, that's the other historic district in the other municipalities also.
Right, any historic
I've
district.
worked in Corvallis, I've worked in Palm Beach Island.
But you
That's
can't
a
make an
one-step
assumption that just
process.
because you see others, I mean, anyways, I'll let someone else.
All right, we need a motion, we had a half a motion, we need a motion.
Well, I'd like to raise something.
Sure.
So the, first of all, it's a acute situation. My idea about could you sell the doors and recoup some of your money, that's an impossibility unless there's somebody who has something similar, they can't be adjusted or altered in any kind of way to fit another home. So the two issues I hear are sort of parity about, you know, my house should look like everybody else's house and everybody else's house looks like this, therefore mine should, which is not a compelling reason for me to, you know, to support it. The only thing then, if I were to support this would be to ask to have a financial hardship application done, which I don't see here, in which case we could come back potentially next month and take a look at that and then maybe make an exception, a variance to your situation, if that's what you're saying is it's really financial hardship.
Well, it is financial hardship to reordering doors.
Yeah, but we need evidence of that. There is a process for that.
And then we're also running into a timing issue now where we could lose the grant as well. So then it's just like everything's kind of on.
I'm gonna get to that.
Is the grant free money?
Well, it's.
No, it's,
Yeah, let's see a rebate you would get.
Self grant, you do not pay the money back. You have to spend at least $5,000 additional money to get the 10,000. So the total contract has to be a minimum of 15 because it can, or they do it in 2/3 increment. So if they were only doing the doors in the 7,000, we get 2/3 of that cost. And then they hold the money for a window of time for us to get work done, and it doesn't happen,
What is that window say?
the money reverts back.
April.
So we'd have to do the financial hardship, order new doors, have them approved, or get the approval of them, have them made, have them installed. By April first.
You wouldn't have a problem with approval if you pick the doors that you're saying, right?
Right.
Correct.
If you got,
I'm never gonna do like that.
Yeah.
So, no.
And I understand, because I'm having to spend a whole bunch of more money on something that I put up. Because I did this. But I don't know how you. Kind of, everybody could do that then, we'll all go out and do something, and then, like I did. And then come back and say, oops, I didn't know I had to do it this way. It's a real financial hardship because I didn't follow the rules. I don't know what our scope is.
If you're gonna go back to every other homeowner and get them in compliance.
that's not the point of this meeting, and that's not why you're here.
If you all will give me 1 second, so we've been conferring and want to bring it to your attention that even with a financial hardship, you wouldn't be able to approve the door she's wanting. You'd have to approve
Correct.
something that is still in keeping with the design, but not necessarily but could be a lesser value. So instead of,
So
the-
either way, we
the top
can't use the
line-
door she's already bought.
Correct.
So the problem is we have to buy the door. And that layer, that is where the problem lies, is that we can't. So we can't buy the doors, we can't get the insurance down, we can't.
But you can't because you don't have time or you don't want to spend extra money.
We can't spend extra money, I don't work right now.
I mean, I don't know your financial situation, so I know it's challenging. I know you don't work,
I was the higher of salaried of my husband, so.
I mean, I just don't know on what. What would our rationale be for approving this, that everybody else couldn't say the same thing?
right? I mean, we have
Now,
other cases denied.
We're up here to go on case, we're not here to say what's gonna come to the door next.
Yeah,
We go on case by case basis.
no, you're setting a precedent.
Well,
Then you're setting a precedent. Everybody that buys a door,
I understand it, I get it, I get that, but the thing about it is, tonight we have this lady in front of us, we have $7,000 up. You don't want her to go flush the $7,000. Number two, the door's already been bought. Number three,
yeah,
the door not directly in front of the house, is offset, have the house. And number four, this is a hardship, but
Yeah, but we don't know that for sure. I mean, I'm not disrespecting you at all, but you could have 100,000 in the bank. Well, I don't know,
You're
right?
right.
I know, I'm just saying, we have to set a precedent for others.
you guys can sit, let us do our, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Do you have any more questions?
I know how to find you.
Another thing, I mean, you gotta, I work a lot in this town. And sometimes you can go online and see what the city requirements are.
Sure.
And sometimes you can go see what door that district represents. They'll already be named, but you can go online and see exactly what the guidelines are.
Right,
And that's the historical district that we take a look at.
right. And our guidelines are awesome. They show you the windows, the doors.
It's the same with us. It's not,
We have the same thing. It spells it out right there. You have a big century.
they made an
here's your door, here's your
assumption. They
window.
failed to investigate online. They admitted that they failed to check it out. They bought the doors. They went ahead with the grant application. Unfortunately, I mean, in my time here, have seen this come up over and over and over again.
Yeah.
And we, I mean, we have to adhere to the guidelines, and that's my position.
So I had a question for Scott. Did we say that?
Hello?
did we just say that, it would not be possible to approve if he came back with a financial hardship?
Correct.
It would not be possible for us to approve the door that's already.
No, you could not.
Okay.
The purpose, I believe the purpose of the financial hardship is to, let's say there was this door, like give you an example of a roof. I think we once had a case for a roof that he wanted this type of roof, but there was a secondary roof that was proposed that could be okay, but he didn't want that because that
Usually,
secondary was.
You often see it with roofs where it's a concrete tile roof and they want to replace, but the concrete tile is 2 to 3 times as expensive as asphalt shingle. But you can't do a raised seam aluminum roof. You have to do the gray asphalt shingle because it most closely replicates the roof that is really approved, consistent with the guidelines for that type.
Correct.
So what options do we have here now? I mean, no matter what they do.
Approve,
you're not-
deny, postpone.
But I mean, you're not can't approve that door anyway,
That's
right?
right. We can approve the
We
door.
can approve the door.
We can.
Yeah.
It's outside of our.
We can approve the door.
Oh, I thought you said none of the doors.
It would be
approved.
legally improper to approve those doors.
It does not conform with our guidelines. You would have to come up with substantial competent evidence based on the criteria for your review that it.
And we're
something
saying
does
the
meet
only
the guidelines.
substantial thing we're thinking of right now is if it was a true financial hardship, which we don't.
Which wouldn't help us anyway,
They- that would help
unfortunately.
anyway.
Right,
Right.
right.
So we need a
We
motion.
either approve or deny. I'll make a motion again, but no. I'd like to make a motion. To approve. HRPB, number 23-001-0024, one, for certification of appropriateness, POA, window and door replacement for the property located at 213 Fortingham Drive. Recording.
Now you have to go through each of the criteria and state your reasons why it meets that criteria.
Really?
Really?
Yeah.
What it is.
This is our job.
Staff review comments. What's funny?
So it starts on page 3. Section 23.54K1. And then there's.
So each one of these staff analysis, so why would you disagree with what the staff has recommended?
So
That's
what is
we have.
what is the effect of the proposed work on the landmark or the property upon which such work is to be done?
I find my recommendation is based upon this is not an historical designated structure. And therefore, it doesn't, to me, in my mind, it doesn't meet the guidelines. I mean,
But it is it's still non-contributing. We still have to
It's not-
adhere to the guidelines. Non-contributing requires us to adhere to the front of the house. That's the rule. So why do you believe that we should not adhere to this guideline for the front of the house?
if this project met the guy law, the structure that they bring them.
And I'm gonna help you out a little bit, okay?
Okay.
We can't vote based on sympathy for
I'm not,
the applicants. Let me just finish. We can't make a motion based on sympathy for the applicant situation. What you can do in this instance is because you could say, as you pointed out earlier, that because that door is somewhat recessed from front view, that would be a reason that you could justify to say, hey, you would make an exception because it's not
Okay,
the
I'll go
applicant's
on.
contention is, the applicant's contention is,
Right.
it's not directly visual from the street, it's to the side. So let me help you out.
Thank you. Thank you. There you go.
So that's door number one. Do you want to have, are you trying to move forward towards one and two?
Door number one is.
Door number one is the front door.
The front door that's on the side, and door number two is the door, the carport door, which is facing the front, right?
Oh, the applicant's contention is that there's usually a car there, so it's not visually, visible, but
I'll tell you what. I want you. I will go, at door number one,
yes.
where we just discussed,
Door number one is the
the one to the side.
the egress and access to the house.
Door number two. I think she should go ahead and, comply with the cities. But that face the front. Front. That be, at least that's give her some relief instead of spending $70,275. So I was going, I was going on door number one and deny door number two.
And the muntin on the window
Two slides.
and the plain door on, for the door number three.
Yeah, and
That was, those two were already kind of agreed to, but just to put it out there.
What do you think? We good?
We got a motion. We have a second. So basically what he's saying is,
It's going to be.
yeah, side door, garage door,
Window.
window. He's fine with your money. Motion.
Well, we want to ask, see if this is acceptable for her before we make a vote.
Is that even possible to ask? Does it matter?
No, I don't think at this point, no. We should have a discussion, but we need a second.
Okay.
Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, so now we can discuss. You basically have, your motion was denying, approving the front door, denying the garage door. Owner's okay with the flat door and the month. So do the four items, that's what we said.
I guess this would minimize the cost for her. It's not ideal, but it would certainly cut down one door. I still feel like it's gonna look a little bit disjointed, the whole house. But if it's perhaps not as noticeable, like you said, it's on the side, it could minimize the cost. I know it's not what she wants, but yes.
The front door is more expensive.
That has.
It's.
You know, we can't go by what. corner.
I understand, but it does mitigate a lot of the cost because the door that has the angle not facing the street is a more expensive door.
So that does mitigate a lot of the cost, is what
It
you're
does
saying.
mitigate a lot of the cost, and the door replacement that we could use in the carport,
Mhm.
We can.
So the rationale would be because it is on the side and is not seen from the front, that we would be willing to approve that, is what
That's
you're
what the
saying.
motion is.
That's what the motion is.
Okay, I got a motion, I have a second, we discussed. Yes, we did have a second,
Yeah, I second.
okay, so all those in favor?
Yeah. I'll approve that.
We got 1, 2, 3, 4, passes 4, 4 to 2, passes. Thank you. Okay, now. Is he okay, is the elevator working still, Sharon? Okay, so we're gonna take a 1-minute break, because we have.
Gotta get this little thing out.
You got it.
Thank you guys, I appreciate
Okay.
your time.
I bet we can go.
I'll send you an email tomorrow morning.
Fine. I don't get to make motions. It's kind of- Yeah, you get to do that too, go for it, right? No, but discussing what we do is hard. Thank you. I get used to it. I get used to it.
It would be nice.
Really good idea. Really good idea.
Yeah.
Every now and then, some maps. Or just a lot.
This is really. So can you want to just say first, explain it, or anything good? Okay.
Yeah, the presentation that explains everything you need to know.
Perfect, thank you. Not like going, it's real quick. If,
That's the hope.
thank
It
you.
should.
What we're actually doing next is a recommendation. Okay, which is
Oh, they're not here. Okay.
really, okay, but we have to wait for that. Thank you. But it's just a recommendation, so it goes, finally goes back to the, that's all we're doing. And let Annie do her, yeah, Annie's gonna do her little presentation. But you know, while we're waiting for Sherry, I am always afraid of us setting a precedent, and what you said, I really appreciate as a board. I also appreciate your heart, that's kind of how I go too. But
So, it's the line, man.
it's a lot. But I mean, we really do need to abide by. And granted, you have to have a hard situation, that's why financial hardship is there and all of that.
But you can't.
For residents that have been here for a while. Right.
4 years. I mean, that's.
And you're involved, okay, so here we go. Get away.
We're live again?
We're live.
We are, let's see, all right. So I would almost think that most of this project needs no introduction. We all know the Gulf Stream.
Correct.
Tonight, we are doing a final plat map. So this is a little different than what you've seen before. This is not you approving or denying anything. We are recommending that you make a recommendation to the city commission to approve or deny. So we all know the location. There we are at Lake and South Gulf View. So little walk through history here. April 2022, the HRPB approved COAs, a base flood elevation, and a tax exemption pre-construction. June, the city commission approved planned development district, development of significant impact, major site plan, conditional use permit, and sustainable bonus incentives. Part of the reason we're here tonight is platting of the properties was required as a condition of that planned development. August 22, we got that economic incentive package approved. We're here tonight doing that recommendation for the final plat, and then this will go to the city commission on December 5th for their review.
Right, so it's already in writing, we can't mess up the chart, so.
No, there's no messing up, hopefully. So this is just a screenshot of the plat document. You can see on here, we've got parcel 1, which is where the historic structure and addition are and are going to be, and then parcel 2 is where that new construction with parking garage and all of that will be. So we've got, you know, some easements being released. We've got some easements being put in here for access to that alley and access to various utilities. We'll also have a temporary easement until some utilities are relocated.
Before you leave that, we just got some information like today. It came to our attention today, like, that there will need to be another utility easement added that is approximately 10 feet wide along the length of the alley that's not being vacated.
Okay.
To ensure there's room to put utilities, electric underground. So when you, I want you to be aware that when you have this document, it's going to change a little bit before it goes to the city commission, and it will have this almost 10-foot wide easement running along that line that you see 225.50 on it.
But it will not have to come back in front of us, and it would make reference to that staff changes, blah, blah, blah.
Yep.
All right.
All right, so plats are subject to certain regulations in our LDRs in the subdivision regulations section. Our city attorney, our site plan review team, William, our director, our consultant surveyor, and lots of our staff have reviewed the plat, and we've provided comments and conditions of approval. We recommend that you forward a recommendation of approval to the city commission. And these are what we've got drafted as our conditions of approval for now for you all. As you can see, some of them are pretty broad in terms of, you know, fixing up some easement language, basically addressing the comments that our site plan review team and various staff have provided to them. And then we've got our motions.
There you go.
Public comment.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Hey,
You're here.
Come on up.
love to hear from you.
Good evening, Wes Blackman, 241 Columbia Drive.
Like, were you sworn in?
Um, well,
He's just making public comment.
Yeah.
Okay, this is part, thank you.
I just want to say that this is really a ministerial action on your part, that it's a condition of approval, and it's already been seen by the city commission and you, and you'll see no big deal. And you could just approve it, staff and that it's something like that is important. And I think we all want to see the whole stream elevated and improved, and we could bring to the town and putting this on the map of tourism. So, and getting some people who's been at work in the place to stay. Thank you. And that's it.
Thank you. Now to the beginning.
Okay, I move to recommend approval of HRPB project number 23-011-0003 with staff recommended conditions for a final draft for the Gulfstream Hotel project. The proposal meets the applicable criteria based on the data and analysis in the staff report.
Motion second, please.
Second.
I have a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, passes unanimously. Any planning issues?
No, there are not.
All right, public comment. And departmental reports, anything to follow up, is anything before we go?
No, we're good to
All
go.
right, we miss Erin and we wish her well, and thank you to the orders for making it here today, appreciate it. Let's all go home.